Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to the roundtable, weekly roundtable that we have. And let me quickly invite our guest, our panelist. First is Ms. Farida Charania from Singapore. She is the CEO of Career Zoom.
Hi.
Second is Ms. Kanchan Verma. She is the CEO of Akulmach Technologies. She joins us from India.
Hello.
And finally, last but not the least, my friend from London, Mr. Neville Gund. He is the chairman of MindFit Limited.
Good morning, everybody.
So, good morning. And today's topic is basically the job situation. And as we all know and concur that the global job situation has completely changed, and the old jobs are not being asked for. The reskilling has been a major subject of discussion today. So the point for us to discuss and probably inform the people and our viewers about the types of jobs now available and the types of jobs that employer needs today. So without further ado, with this topic for discussion, let me invite Farida. Farida, you work with a lot of companies world over, and you are in the business of recruitment. So I think you are the best person to take this as a first question. What is the type of jobs now available globally post-COVID?
Sure. I'm just going to talk about the sectors which were impacted negatively and then the sectors which are impacted positively. So sectors which are negatively impacted and might take a very long time to come back to the pre-COVID era are tourism, transport, retail, and hospitality. And sectors which actually kind of started getting impacted positively are e-commerce, digital media and entertainment, video conferencing services, health and wellness, healthcare, e-learning, supermarkets, delivery logistics, warehousing, storage, e-commerce, pharmaceuticals, robotics, streaming, and again, the video conferencing services, etc. So now, when we look at the sectors which are impacted positively, let's pick up a few skills which I see very often with my clients and they kind of look for. First of all, they look for flexibility. So flexibility means that someone who's done a certain type of job in a certain environment, is that person flexible enough to actually do it in a different environment? Like for instance, is it very necessary for this person to be sitting in office and doing their work, or they are okay to do it from anywhere, like the way world is today? Technical skills, definitely, because everything that was real estate is now digital assets. So definitely technical skill. Data analysis, because that's a very very important portion of anything that is done in the e-commerce, or anything that has a digital layer. Critical thinking, because someone who can actually take a thing and very easily transform into a B thing, and is able to actually very quickly adapt, is a skill that is a skill that employers definitely look for. And of course, digital and coding skills and emotional intelligence, because it's not very easy to work in isolation. So these are skills, soft skills and hard skills, that I see very often my clients looking for.
Okay, great. So I think now we have a clarity in terms of what type of skills are now required by the companies world over. And let me invite Mr. Neville Gund. Neville, actually, you work with a lot of youngsters, a lot of middle management people, giving them training. Your company is, always engaged in many such sorties across the world with many countries. What is your opinion on this subject?
Well, as Farida was mentioning there, it's a long list as ever. It's a huge list. And if we can pull the fragments out of that list that have been important forever, but now all of a sudden they're rising to the top. It's a bit like, we've had lots of milk and here's the cream. And this cream has taken a little bit of time to rise to the top. And we're talking about, fundamentally, we're talking about good soft skills, because these are traditionally what they call transferable skills. Empathy, how to be a good leader, which is somewhat different from empathy, as people seem to be calling it, how to be a good communicator, how to work in a team. These aren't technical specific issues. These are global issues that we need to get over. And then we've got this massive change. COVID has done one thing. It's taken all of the traditional homes for, well, if I can't get a job here, I'll go into hospitality. You know, there's always been a job in hospitality, no matter where you are, whether it's flipping burgers or it's waiting on tables or it's the maitre d', there's always been a job in hospitality until today. As Farida said, this one is going to be probably the longest one that will return to some sort of normality. And even then, the job will change, because even before that, the digital arena had come into some restaurants where you literally just sit at your table and you press bits on your table, and actually you're doing the ordering on your table, or maybe on an app. So things are changing quite fundamentally. And I'm going to go back to the very first thing that Farida said, adaptability. We've got to learn to be adaptable. We're not very adaptable, frankly. And people that are looking for jobs are looking for jobs in the old way. You know, I'm an electrical engineer at university. I'm looking for an electrical engineering job. Well, it may not be there. So what else are you going to look for? So that narrow issue, we need to be adaptable. So what skills have I got? We need to ask ourselves the question. I may be technically developed to be a mathematician or a physicist or something, but I need now to know what those skills could do somewhere else. And the obvious place actually is teaching. People are rushing back into teaching because now that's becoming a home for the graduate professional. Never thought of teaching before, but now they're thinking of teaching now. But again, you know, teaching, you can't just, because you've got a degree in engineering, you can't just go stand up in front of a class and start teaching, because guess what? It's here. It's digital teaching. And we all know that that's a different arena. So I'm going to focus on this word adaptability, really, because if we don't adapt to the circumstances of today, because they're not going to go back to what yesterday was. So we need to be future focused. So I think my word for the day, word for this session, is adaptability. I've nicked it from Farida.
Great. So I think learning from two great leaders, the job scenario is completely changed. And obviously the jobs are created by the university. I mean, the skills are created by the universities so that jobs can be fulfilled. But those jobs which universities are teaching, education institutes are teaching, are no longer applicable. So let me ask this question from Kanchan, because she works with the universities and education institutes. Are these, pillars of our education doing enough to create new skills so that the new jobs which are available now can be filled?
Yeah, I will be answering this question a bit later, but I would like to express a few finer points from July 2020. There is a rise in job in terms of Indian market, because there are some jobs in media, there are some jobs in railways, there are some jobs in education. So there's a little rise in job situation, and even pass out students can opt for government jobs like police, though currently in some part of India police is in question, but other part of states and cities, they can opt for this job. Now coming to the question is that definitely the new skills are required, because one skill which is not taught is flexibility. The second skill which is not taught in school is team building and communication. And as communication also, there are few classes in few schools, they are teaching communication, but not as a hard skill, which is very much required, not only in India, but across the world. So these few skills are required, a part of technical knowledge, where student is taught maybe coding, but he should be good in maths also. If one student is good in maths, he should also be good in uh, doing online drawing, or maybe something like Doodle, where he can express, I can make these images and incorporate in presentation, that gives a kind of substantial rise in the career. And apart of this, I also feel that though jobs are available, as one of the companies like Tata company uh, a few week back said that firing will not solve the problem. So in this case, companies are also adjusting themselves, and they have come to the conclusion that firing will not help, because we need manpower to really pursue whatever manufacturing or servicing business are going on. So now companies are also realizing, and what I feel is that now companies are hiring people with multiple skills. And in colleges and in schools, I think this is a high time when these skills should be taught, so that we can take up smart professionals and hire good employees for the company for the products.
So thank you, Kanchan. So see, as far as my knowledge goes about the market here, by and large, I feel that the jobs which are available now are in 3 to 4 categories, where jobs are still available in abundance. And those categories are communication. So if you are a smart communicator, there is a job for you in the market. Companies are looking for these smart communicators. If you are in AI, then the jobs are available, because there are a lot of work happening in AI. The humans will be eventually replaced by AI in some of these mundane jobs, and there is a lot of development happening in that area. And the first job is in terms of transformation, because with all these transformation, the organization also required specialists who can actually take the organization on this path. So it's very easy to say that, hey, the world has changed, it's new normal, but who's going to take that new normal ahead without disrupting the business as much as possible? So these are the three different jobs which are in high demand at this point in time. So I leave the floor open to take your comments on this.
I'll take this. So I'm just going to pick up from where CK was just talking about. Let me try to give it some kind of a structure. Whatever the future brings, the workers who adapt will remain the most relevant. So what do we take away from this? Adapt. Now, skills, communication, for instance, like CK was mentioning. So we are talking about customer relations. AI, so you're talking about digital skills, coding, software programming, then soft skills, like Kanchan was mentioning, emotional intelligence, flexibility, digital marketing. These are all skills which are necessary to stay globally relevant. And because of the higher unemployment or people working fewer hours, the impact of pandemic has been felt on all jobs to more or less extent in all countries. Now, where when someone is looking for a job, what is it that we will recommend? So I have a few recommendations here. That firstly, focus on finding a job where you can work remotely, because that could be an important decision to make when you apply for your next role. Again, if you're looking for a job while the sudden spikes of the COVID-19 pandemic remain a risk in general population, it becomes very, very crucial that you look for something where you can work remote or you can work from home. Even if you have to change your sector, uh, don't consider it a permanent move, because COVID is not here forever, but it's going to be there for some time. And once things recover, maybe some years down the line, your preferred industry could make a strong resurgence and could come back as well. But at this point in time, it's very important to focus very carefully on here and now. It is perhaps sensible to look carefully at positions that offer short to medium term security at least, so you can ride out the worst of the pandemic. And that may mean freelance working somewhere else, or finding a temporary contract to keep you on track for the rest of 2020. So, having said that, the pain is there and it's not going to be all hunky dory. But when you start looking for, jobs, try to look for positions which are either freelance opportunities, opportunity to work from home, and, a structure or a product that can thrive despite of social distancing. That would be my recommendation.
We can't hear you, Kanchan. You need to put your volume on. Still can't hear you, I'm afraid. Sorry. Maybe it's Chandra that needs to turn his volume on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay,
That's
fine.
it.
Can you hear me now? Can.
Oh, we've lost you again. You see Chandra creeping back in. You can't hide with this, It's live.
Yes, I've corrected the problem which was with the mic. So Kanchan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that I fully agree with Farida, but I think especially in the context of India, there is around 75% rise, 95,000 jobs are available, especially in government sector, like railways, like banks and finance. So I think people who are opting for government jobs, they have a lot of opportunities. But yes, somebody who wants to go in private sector, they must have skills which are required. That is emotional intelligence, emotional well-being, and of course, a flexibility of working.
Yeah, I think the what we're seeing, and certainly Farida's mentioned it. There are jobs available, and the key thing here is, I think Chandra, you said AI. AI is big business, but the interesting thing, AI, as far as I can see, they need programmers, they need strategists. So unless you have a particular skill in that arena, there's a lot of retraining that you might have to do to get into the jobs that are currently available. So this is a bit of being smart. The nice thing we've got is something called Google. We can always Google it. What skills are needed for this? What skills are needed for that? This person has said it's these skills. What does that mean? So if you don't understand necessarily the job descriptions that are out there, do some research. If you're looking for a job, you have plenty of time on your hands. The time now is to be very focused in what you're doing. Not to say, I must have a job, I need a job, because that little gremlin that you have in the back of your head somewhere will constantly be nagging away every single time you look at the screen and you're trying to focus. So you need to be laser focused now onto what skills you've got, and then go and trial search. As I say, Google is a brilliant place. You can list down a number of items with a comma after it, and all of a sudden you'll get all the news headlines from what's being said about all of those particular subjects. So this is the time, I think, for those that are struggling in this arena, is to start focused and getting some very good research around you. Remember, the job you're looking for could actually be outside your front door, but it might be, halfway around the earth. It could be 10, 12,000 miles away in a digital arena. A lot of the words that Chandra was saying, there's jobs in communication. Communication is a huge word. And you need to understand what communication is. That's not telecoms, that's not being, plug and play and sticking things into PCs. It's how to communicate your message. A marketeer, there are plenty of jobs in marketing, and all of these marketeers are very good at translating the message that's currently being said into a message that people understand. So you're putting the company directly in touch with their customer base. So now's the time not to be worried about it, not to be panicked about it, because neither of those two things are going to help you. You need to get your mind in the right place, set aside a certain amount of time of day, and whatever you do, don't do it as I see a lot of graduates do. They sit in front of a PC for 6 hours, constantly researching and researching and researching. Now, I'm nearly 62 years old. I don't sit in front of a PC for 6 hours. I'm tired after about 25 minutes of very focused type of research. And I'm no different to anybody else. So take breaks, have a glass of water by the side of your PC. Do the simple things, use a diary, set a timer. If you haven't got a timer, if you're using your mobile for all this searching and you can't put the timer on there, then get another timer. Go into the kitchen and set the timer on the oven so that, it beeps away at you. There are lots of ways you can get around this issue, and stop saying I can't and start saying I can. Because there's opportunity for you if you, and I'm going to pinch this word again, I'm afraid, if you're adaptable. And the sad thing is, not many people are. And that's why, if you are adaptable, I will guarantee you'll get a job. Because there are plenty of jobs out there.
So I think the first thing that people need today is basically understand what is the reality and adapt to it. So I think, you don't want to be like an ostrich, bury your head and not look at the reality around. So I think the reality is very, very clear that the jobs which were available earlier are not available now. And what is new, as Neville said, a job may be 12,000 miles away from your location. So I think time has come to really become digital, find out what are the jobs which are there. For instance, let me throw some examples. If you look at the media business, that was such a thriving business world over, and different kinds of media being sold by everyone, news to entertainment to movies to anything else, and people makes billions of dollars out of this revenue. In fact, it is one of the biggest grosser of the industry anywhere in the world. What has happened now? There are no new movies in the theaters because the artists have not gone for recording because there is COVID lockdown everywhere. So where will you shoot the new movies? So I think there is a gap. People still need to be entertained. How they get entertainment? There is a digital arena which can be used. So the media can be simply shift from that place to the digital space. So I think this is where the opportunities are. There are a lot of opportunities in the marketing arena. There are a lot of opportunities in influencers because the old way of advertising is gone. There is no advertisers now looking at the content because the content is not there at all. The old type of content. The new content, that means new advertisers are coming in. So you need to create the new content, become an influencer, become a good marketeer, digital marketeer, become a media professionals, become an AI, become data scientist, become a transformation expert, or become a good communicator. So I think these are the opportunities which are available in abundance. What do you guys have to say about this?
I think I'll pick this up here. When you talk about artificial intelligence, it's a very broad umbrella, and people start getting worried, oh, my job is going to go away. So, the World Economic Forum actually predicts that about 75 million jobs will be displaced with AI. But at the same time, 133 million new jobs will be created, because end of the day, a machine can do repetitive tasks. At least in my knowledge, I don't think that it will replace humans. It will augment human life. It will augment the human experience. It will take away the work which is very repetitive, monotonous, admin. It will take away that work and give the user data which is actually mined in the proper format for them to take actions. So basically, jobs are not going away. Robots are not going to become your they are not going to kind of take away your job. They are perhaps going to help you to make better decisions, to do things which you can do much better if you are engaged. It will not take away the human touch at all. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm old, but I don't think it's going to happen, at least in the next 50 years or what. So the thing is that there are opportunities. Yes, of course, the pay scales probably have gone down because every industry has suffered. And then, the way you actually deliver your services also changed. Like Chandra was just now mentioning, that entertainment is kind of moved, because movies are not being released in theaters. You see all of them being released on OTT platforms. Influencers, yes, advertising is changed completely. In fact, yesterday somebody presented a strategy to me, and it's an advertising firm, so it's actually a PR firm, and they presented a strategy. And I think they've had a very steep learning curve, because they have realized that if they give me 100,000 budget, and $100,000 of budget, and if they give me the same things which everybody else was doing 6 months ago, I'm just going to listen to them out of respect but not do anything about it. So they came back with some very smart strategies, which was using some of these influencers to actually drive the message, use soft power to attract people, use inbound rather than outbound. So I think that world is changing, and definitely, if the individual is adaptable, again I'm going to take my word back, if you can adapt to lead, there are a lot of opportunities for you.
You're absolutely right, and the thing is, I'm gonna pinch it again, but don't worry about that. You mentioned the I think the critical part here that we need people to focus on is that Farida's absolutely right. For every job that AI will take, and remember, it's taking the repetitive jobs away, and we know something about repetition. It's boring. Who wants to be boring? If anyone's listening to this and want to be boring, just don't listen to anything else we're going to say, because no one wants to be boring and no one wants to listen to someone that's boring. And that's what robots are there for. AI is a robot. It is doing repetitive tasks that somebody's programmed. So for every job that's taken away, which I say, tick that box, let's get rid of them very quickly, there's probably at least 2, if not 3, that will replace that job. The issue is, the likelihood is, it will be at a more technical level. So I think something that we need to realize is we need to become a bit more technically minded. Now, that might just be using an app in the way the app's designed. So you don't have to go on a university course to be technically minded. You just have to Google something and find out what you need to know to have the sufficient technical skills to get ahead of the curve. There used to be a phrase in business many years ago, and it was about consultants. A good consultant is only there because they're half an hour better than the staff. And if you think about that, I see Farida's laughing there, and Chandra's trying to break a smile, because we've all been consultants and we've all hired consultants. And that's really what a consultant's just ahead of the curve. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for someone just ahead of the curve. It might be a long curve or a short curve, but the point is, that's why they're a consultant. That's why they're the expert. And we will always need experts. The more AI comes in, the bigger requirement there will be for specialists. So if you really enjoy something that you're doing, become the specialist in that particular part. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a plumber, an architect, a sculptor, just become the expert. And just picking up what Farida said, this influencer arena, ironically, I was told that I'm one of the 100 top influencers in the world in a particular subject. I've no idea why that's the case, and it doesn't really bother me. But the point is, if you get to an influencer, understand what they're saying and what they're doing, and be the influencer in your specific arena. Because we're crying out for specialists. And the more specialist you become, the easier the jobs will be that are coming out there. You may even create a new area that people haven't thought of before. And then be happy and drive hard on it. Be very focused and enjoy it. One word that as the older we get, the more important this word becomes. I love my job. What does that mean? Because if you don't love it, get another one. Simple as that, really.
To
I
add,
would like to share.
there are
Sorry,
jobs.
go ahead.
There are jobs, and job seeker need not to worry. Just enhance their skills and be positive and have flexibility and adaptability. So they will get job of their choice.
Okay, so I'd like to just share a funny incident from yesterday. Somebody reached out to me and said, I'd like to have a chat with you. And I know the person, so I said, okay, let's talk. And they actually told me that they are offering a second opinion. So that person has actually made it their business. So they are offering a second opinion for a queen. Quite a novel idea, and initially I laughed, but I was actually thinking, yes, I mean, it is lonely at the top.
It's very smart. It's very
Yeah.
smart.
Yes, and it is fairly lonely at the top. I don't have anyone to kind of bounce my thoughts off, because mostly people are going to agree with me if I talk to my team. And I mean, I respect this person, so I wouldn't mind paying to take a second opinion. So people can get very creative and they can find some niches in there. So I'm just saying that the sky is the limit. We are very fortunate to be in a digitally enabled world where we can actually, give our services online. You could be sitting thousands of miles away and still be able to do work for somebody that far away from you. So well, I mean, it's not that the impact is really serious with this pandemic, but some good will come out of it, because very overrated stuff like brick and mortar is definitely becoming passé. So there would be opportunities, and yes, if you need a second opinion, I can do it for a fee.
I think someone might call that coaching, but maybe coaching is a bit historic, but a second opinion. I've heard of people that are offering second opinions. And it made me laugh, because immediately I thought, well, that's a real interesting gimmick. And of course, that's what you've got to do to get into the market these days. You've got to have a gimmick. You've got to have, as someone might have said years ago, you've got to have an angle to get in, a bit of leverage. There's all these wonderful words in the dictionary that we can utilize, but fundamentally, we've all got it. It's about time we start to use it.
So great. I think we had a very good conversation today, and learning from the leaders like yourself. It has been a great value to our viewers. I'm sure they will be able to change their job scenario, take some of these tips that we have discussed today, and find the reskilling opportunities for themselves and find appropriate job for themselves. So with this message, I would like to end this discussion today, and I'd like to thank you, all of you, Farida, Kanchan, and Neville. Thanks for your input, and we will catch up next Friday.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy Halloween.
Bye.